Part 1, One Man Out. This is my disclaimer. I am only a guidepost to resources. This information are examples only of documents people have used or tried to use to stay out of debt since we have been bankrupt since 1933. We shouldn't have to pay a debt that was here before a lot of us were born. I am not responsible for what you do with this information. Do your own due diligence and always get your own over and understanding before you make any moves to the betterment of yourself and others. I hope you enjoy the information. You can Google this book PDF for free. There are many more documents in this book that you may find informative. I hope you enjoy the information. Bye.
Request for withdrawal of application. Page 1 of 5. Request for withdrawal of application. Continuation of Request for withdrawal of application. Box number 2. I do not desire to benefit from any contracts, franchises, agreements, covenants, hypothecations, promises, pledges, cession bon or rural, bailments, transfers and or transactions with or from the United States of America, District of Columbia, state name, blank, and or any of their subdivisions or representatives. All elections to be a U.S. citizen are cancelled and withdrawn. All contracts and elections to be treated as a United States citizen, or franchisee thereof, are null and void and are cancelled due to non-disclosure and failure of fair consideration. See UCC Section 1 to 107. Any alleged privileges and or benefits are rejected and waived. Any commercial transactions and or donations in the future will be accepted for value, under necessity due to the declared emergency, the United States bankruptcy, the Trading with the Enemies Act, the Buck Act, and any others in violation of law and the rights of inhabitants and man, as being compelled under coercion, fraud, and duress upon the people and inhabitants evidenced upon the public record. All SS5, W2, W4, SS4 and all related contracts, pledges, oaths, affirmations or elections abrogating my status or standing in law are unconscionable in nature and without full disclosure or discussion. Coercion was used to misinform me as to the nature of those contracts, which if they were to be enforced would constitute an act of fraud by way of accomplice liability, in depriving me of life, liberty, property and the pursuit of happiness by the enforcing party. This request for withdrawal, Form S3A 521, Social Security hash, blank, Employer Identification hash, blank, and account hash, blank, and any and all accounts and property related thereto or therefrom are accepted for value, including all related endorsements, front and back, in accordance with UCC Sections 1 to 104, 3 to 419, 10 to 104, and House Joint Resolution 192 of June 5, 1933. Charge account hash, blank, for the registration and all other necessary fees and command to the memory of account hash, blank, to charge the same to the debtor's order or to the order of the Social Security Administration, USA Department of Health and Human Resources, or to Paul O'Neill's Secretary of the Treasury order. This, and all other related property is tax exempt and exempt from levy. Please release all property, accounts, indentures, debentures, contracts, instruments, records, orders and all related value and debt instruments, immediately. The property is prepaid, and if your agency does not release the property immediately, your agency shall notify me within T+3 days, to be accompanied by a superior claim over that of the secured party, as registered at the Washington State Department of Licensing UCC 1 number. Notice to principal is notice to agent, and notice to agent is notice to principal. Request for withdrawal of application. Page 2 of 5, Affidavit and Certification of Withdrawal. This constitutes actual and constructive notice that I, blank, underscore of the, blank, family last name, do hereby withdraw, revoke, rescind, terminate, waive, decline, refuse and forfeit any and all contracts, agreements applications for Social Security benefits and or Social Security documents nunc protuncta, blank, birth date due to, fraud, non-disclosure, and failure of fair consideration, in accordance with UCC Article 1, Article Section 1 to 107. Furthermore, for the reasons set forth, upon discovery that by initiating the SS-5 form and by marking the box identified as U.S. citizen, it has compelled and subjected me as a natural-born human being to the dominion of government for the promotion of its general welfare and protection of its individual as well as collective rights. Completion of the SS-5 form has also compelled and subjected me by not only marking the citizenship box but also by altering the Christian appellation of my name on the application to all capital letters, thereby compelling and subjecting me to the federal government's jurisdiction, Washington, D.C. District of Columbia, or more accurately the municipal corporation of the District of Columbia, not exceeding 10 miles square, and thereby altering my natural free-born citizenship under Article 2, Section 1, circa 1.5. It is further discovered that by the Social Security Administration and IRS assigning the entity account to a corporate entity ens legis, it has left the applicant in the position of a fiduciary or sub-agent and as a corporate surety or guarantor liability, and upon further investigation and analysis by using the 6209 manual IRS to decrypt and decode the individual master and or business files for said corporate entity, revealed that said entity's account describes a high level of narcotics trafficker in a non-freeze alpha condition ongoing criminal investigation out of Puerto Rico, in which is part of the number 62 Puerto Rico Special Fund Internal Revenue, a place where I have never been. Being the source, through the Social Security Administration and IRS, by assigning and altering my name to a corporate entity and account constituting inducement to transact business and non-disclosure of material facts and legal ramifications, have also compelled and subjected the natural physical person, your name, last name, to the conditions of the Corporation Tax Act of 1909, which clearly states that all income taxes are taxes on corporations and not on people in their natural physical states, but in their artificial state, your name here. To further effect my withdrawal, with no disrespect to the voluntary benefits only withheld for the benefits of the elderly and necessaries of that nature which are created by pure participation, your name, last name. I personally am not desirous to participate in, nor contribute to the American experiment in democracy, due to the obvious antinomy between the republic, guaranteed by the original organic constitutions, and said democracy non-constitutional. And further, I, first name of the last name family, have never knowingly, intentionally, nor deliberately, with full disclosure of the material facts. Request for withdrawal of application. Page 3 of 5. And legal ramification transfer any property, security interests to the United States, state of, blank, its or their agencies and instrumentalities for public use, nor have I made or executed any transfer promise, hypothecation, or assignment thereof of any right, title, or interest therein to any third person, or persona, by or under the operation of 12 U.S.C. Sec. 95b, nor have I made any genuine or bona fide election to be treated a citizen of the United States, defined at 28 U.S.C. Sec. 3002-15, or resident agent thereof, by its or their agencies or instrumentalities, notwithstanding corporate restructuring and or reorganization pursuant to Act of Congress, February 21, 1871, 16 Stat. I. 419, and have altogether removed and secured my res. From the federal, military, corporate districts and venue, including but not limited to things corporeal and incorporeal, movables, integrum, res mancipi and nes rec mancipi, things real and things personal, things in possession and chosen actions, res singuli, tangible and intangible, chattel paper and goods bearing my name and title, to include securing and accepting for value my application for birth registration, live birth report, and insurance of certificate of live birth, all of which is the same security as articulated in UCC Article 8, Sec. 103 and 105, and have accepted for value the Social Security document, all of which is recorded and registered with the United States Treasury, the Washington State Department of Licensing, Uniform Washington State County Auditor's Office, and other documents in which pertain to, include security agreement and addendum, affidavit of agreement for suit, affidavit of cancellation of contracts, affidavit of denial of corporate existence, affidavit of denial of benefits, certificate and declaration of sovereign status, oath of renunciation, notice of trade name and circa. Whereby as a private agent to the corporate entity otherwise described as shipowner as set out at 49 Stat. 1985, Title 11, I have taken the same at face value and duly filed evidencing a private maritime lien against the corporate entity, debtor, your name, on account of advances and necessaries and against the debtor's organizations, franchised organizations, co-sureties, co-guarantors, and or fiduciaries, agencies and instrumentalities by encumbrances by the United States, State of Washington, its or their agents, employee, officers, representatives, trustees and fiduciaries situated within the 5th de jure states comprising The Union, under color of Title 12 U.S.C. Sec. 95b, October 6, 1917, et seg. HJF 192 of June 5, 1933, stemming from Presidential Proclamation Numbers 2039 of March 6 and 2040 of March 9, 1933. Further, I do no desire to contribute to, or with the existence of corporate fiction created to immunize its officers, agents, employees, trustees, and fiduciaries from liability or responsibility by passing the same on to the shoulders of non-existent fiction of law, ens legis such as the United States, State of Washington, its or their agencies and instrumentalitis under a contrived national emergency, allowing inland privateering and repeated Hobbs Act violations, larceny, violating Title 18 U.S.C. Sections 1951, 1962 of June 25, 1948, circa 645, 62 Stat. 793, September 13, 1994, Public Law 103-322, Title XXX, Section 330,016-1-108 Stat. 2147, in which I have every right to withhold giving a lien upon or against my property, and interests therein, UCC Article 9, Sec. 204(3) and to withhold registering, licensing, or otherwise encumbering said property and interests therein to protect the same from factors' liens, warehousemen's liens or from becoming alieni juris, by and through a maritime lien against the same, or anything relating or pertaining thereto, as evidenced within my security agreement, notwithstanding, Senate Doc. Number 43, 73rd Congress, First Session, Maroc 9, 1933, Treaty Doc. Number 97-19, February 17, 1950, at page 494, nor Council of Sat Governors presumed acts of pledging all property, within their jurisdiction and control for want of a consideration to lawfully acquire title thereto, all of was arbitrary and capricious. Request for withdrawal of application. Page 4 of 5. And without authority of law. According to the Lieber Code, which discloses that the rules of property are not displaced by proclamation of a contrived national emergency over a bankrupt nation on account of acquiescence to passage of the Federal Reserve Bank Act of December 23, 1913, Session 2, ch. 6, codified at Title 12 U.S.C. Sec. 411, giving every agency or instrumentality of government the right, a session of war, to accept, receive hold, and dispose of hypothecations of the people of the 50 states comprising the Union of America, ultimately amounting to treason, sedition, peonage and involuntary servitude against the people and myself. Ultimately it is the duty of the Social Security Administration to acknowledge this notice of withdrawal and any other notices and or correspondences that have in providing, that they are the IRS has no quasi in rem, secret maritime in rem, transitory in personam jurisdiction over your name here, surnamed my res, on the erroneous presumption of res derelicta abandonment of property security interest, by further doing so will constitute libelous and slanderous assumptions of jurisdiction, power and authority in the written and unwritten policy of said actors in continuing to interfere with the private commercial activity, i.e. exercise of my right or property without said corporate commercial venue and without indenture, operation and or application of any causa debendi statute, code or regulation mala prohibita, do continue to perpetuate a criminal fraud, artifice, scheme or enterprise against your name here under color of Title 50 U.S.C. App. Sections 1 to 6, 7 to 39, and 414 to 44 in the Trading with the Enemy Act of October 6, 1917, ch. 106, 40 Stat. 411, amounting to the before-mentioned above, motivated by the invidious economic animus of a bankrupt, threatened with the loss of security for the benefit of its principal creditor. In closing, I also point out upon discovery that without disclosure or discussion, I was coerced into believing I could not work without having and retaining a Social Security card number and without completing a W-4 form. However, upon discovery to withhold state income taxes under Title 5 U.S.C. Sec. 5517(1), it provides for the collection or tax by employers, if any employee voluntarily elects to have such sums withheld. I do not believe I have ever made that agreement. Under 26 U.S.C. Sec. 6109(a)(c), it only requires an employer to request a Social Security number from an employee, not demand one. Also under 26 CFR Section 31 3400 seconds p.1 Voluntary Withholding Agreements, it provides, an employee and his employer may enter into an agreement, under Sec. 3402b, to provide for withholding of income tax. Then we look at b.e., which says, an employee who desires to enter into an agreement under Sec. 3402p shall furnish his employer with a Form W-4. All stated was never done or agreed upon, at least on my behalf and with my consent, with full disclosure of the material facts set forth, creating fraud, and honestly I do not believe I personally ever even completed a W-4 form for any employer within the past enter number of years blank I have worked. And under the Privacy Act of 1974, 88 Stat. 1896 Sec. 7(1), I am not required to furnish a Social Security number to any federal, state or local government agency. Nevertheless, respectfully notice has been and is given to all appropriate agencies pursuant to 26 CFR Sec. 1.144(1.5), as to my status as an American citizen, and my property, along with a termination of fiduciary relationship, and this constitutes official, non-negotiable notice to the Request for Withdrawal of Application. Page 5 of 5. Social Security Administration, its or their agents and principals, that I fully and respectfully withdraw my application and or instruments documents nunc pro tuncta, blank. Enter your birth date here, and fully expect repayment of any and all benefits paid on the applications I want withdrawn, whether or not all records will remain for recording or identification purposes. If for any reason the Social Security Administration disputes and needs any documents pertaining to my registered property or other affidavits registered, upon request they will accordingly be provided. I, your name, sui juris of the last name, family, do certify that the contents herein are true, correct, certain and complete under the penalty of perjury bearing false witness, so help me God. I, your name, sui juris of the last name, family, make explicit reservation of all rights in accord with UCC Section 1 to 207. Executed and signed, this day, blank, of, blank, 200 CE. Blank, underscore, blank, Aaron Wayne. Coates, sui juris secured party, creditor holder in due course trade name owner record owner sovereign. Subscribe and sworn to before me this, blank, day of, blank, AD. 2012, blank, underscore, blank, Notary Public, in and for the state of Washington, residing in the county of Walla Walla. My commission expires, blank, underscore, blank, CC. Social Security Administration Commissioner of Social Security Principal Deputy Commissioner Chief of Staff Chief Actuary General Counsel Inspector General Deputy Commissioner for Finance ADDESSMENT and Management Chief Financial Officer Internal Revenue Service, District Director Personal File Form SSA 521 AF Cert.